It is new set day, and you know what that means. We are playing mono green and perhaps one of the most exciting additions to standard, reprint into standard in Craterhoof Behemoth. This card, if you ever played Commander, you're familiar with it. This 8-drop is 5/5 with haste, and when it enters, creatures you control gain trample and +X, where X is the number of creatures you control. How are we playing this card? Well, of course, we're going to be playing it in mono green elves. None of that Golgari nonsense, just pure mono green elves. We make mana, we make bodies on board, we try and get Craterhoof Behemoth out, we smash face. We have a bunch of 1-drops that make mana. Dwynen's Elite adds additional bodies, so this also makes our Elvish Archdruid make even more mana. We have Llanowar Loamspeaker to make mana. Deep Crown Visionary, it is our one lord in the deck, or one of our lords in the deck. We're not playing any of the other elf lords because why do we care about an elf lord if we can just make everything absolutely massive with Craterhoof Behemoth? But Deep Crown Visionary can help us draw cards. Elvish Archdruid makes massive amounts of mana. We have our Tutor in Nature's Rhythm to help us go ahead and find Craterhoof Behemoth. We can also recast it from our graveyard and tap down a creature, and we get to discount the generic cost according to that creature's power. And then Genesis Wave, top X permanents of our library, or top X cards. You can put permanent cards with mana value less than that onto the battlefield. It can help us find Craterhoof as well. In our lands, we have Cavern of Souls to help prevent counters, and the three Tree City to potentially go off with Rustvine Cultivator and just make a bunch of mana. Tapping equals the number of elves we control. So that is the deck. It is a pretty simple concept, but Magic can be a very complex game. It's part of what it makes it rewarding to play, and that is why the sponsor of today's video is here. The Sorcerer's Field Guide from Ivory Tower Games is a book for beginners and experienced players to help you get into Magic, improve your game, and have more seamless game nights. The book covers from the basics of Magic to more complex topics such as how the stack and priority works and much more. The book is very thorough. It's a one-stop shop for learning Magic, answering your questions, and getting better at the game. If you're new to Magic, if you're tired of always asking that one guy about the rules, or if you're getting a friend or family member into Magic, consider picking up the book using my link below, which also helps to support the channel. Thanks, let's hop into the games. Alright. Opponent goes first. This hand seems pretty good. We have some insane acceleration if we can go Llanowar Elves into Elvish Archdruid. And wow, this new map is very pretty. Opponent seems to be on Selesnya, so they could be Selesnya bunnies or they could be Selesnya cage, also trying to make use of the Craterhoof. Nope, they're probably Selesnya like control. So we need to finish them fast. Also, our Elvish Archdruid is probably not long for this world. We will find out though. Temporary lockdown would be brutal. Caretaker's Talent is concerning. So there's a problem. All right, well, let's just go big or go home. I could hold up creatures, but if the opponent has a sweeper this turn, probably bad anyways. And next turn we can just swing with our pumped creatures, and that should be a fair amount of damage. If we can find something big like a Tutor or Craterhoof or Genesis Wave, I think we could also potentially win the game. So this is the window for the opponent to interact. If they have temporary lockdown or Day of Judgment, split up pretty good as well. All right, and we drew a land. Oh no. Oh no. Now there's one thing I was thinking about is how many lands do you really want to play in the elf deck? We are currently playing 22 because, well, if your creatures die a bunch, you're not going to have mana, and that's bad, but it makes your top deck a little bit weaker. I don't want to talk about it, alright? Oh my goodness. The past 2 days, I feel like I've had some of the worst top decks in the game. Or like worst top decks for me personally. I keep on drawing a bunch of lands when I just need to draw something else. Right, opponent probably gonna attack in and then Sunfall, I would guess. Or they just meant good game in the sense that they're gonna drown us in card advantage. That is also an option. Yeah, well, this is the weakness of playing mono green elves. I do wonder if Craterhoof. Okay, well, that's rough. Come on, I really want to believe that mono green elves can be good in standard. Can we do it? Drawing 3 lands in a row was definitely not the way to go. We'll play out the Stalwart. It means that we can drop multiple creatures next turn. Well, I guess since we have 1-drops, it wouldn't have really made a difference. Huh. Okay, our opponent is maybe a sacrifice deck because when it dies, it creates a treasure token. Was this reprinted at some point? That set symbol is from original Ikoria, I think. Don't quote me on that. All right. Well, I will play this on Elf. I probably shouldn't play this out just because now our opponent knows we're gonna have a bunch of mana, but the 3 tree city that is what I'm referring to. But next turn we should be able to tutor out Craterhoof. We have 4 creatures. Craterhoof will be a 5th. Craterhoof will be a hasty 10/10 if we just tutor it out with Nature's Rhythm. So the opponent, which the opponent didn't do anything. The opponent doesn't have removal. I think we just go for... Oh no, I forgot that the 2-mana tutor is gonna be a little brutal, but surely this is worth. We are kind of all in on the opponent not removing Craterhoof, but that's 17 trampling. I should have not attacked in with the Rustvine Cultivators. I didn't realize I was going to need to activate one of our creatures, or activate our Citanul Stalwart, which tapped down an additional creature, which put us in a bad spot. Now, if the opponent has one of those big fancy sorceries, 3-color sorceries from the new set, I think we will lose, probably. They printed like a sweeper that draws cards for each creature and enchantment that it destroys. So that would be not ideal, but we win. All right, GG. All right, well, this hand looks pretty crazy if we can get to these Archdruids. We'll have a ton of mana at our control. Play the Leaf Crown Visionary to start because this doesn't make an elf token unless you control another elf opponent on the Raise the Pass deck, which is concerning because some Raise the Pass decks play sweepers, but also it's just very hard to interact with. Okay, well, that actually is not terribly impactful because we have 2 Elvish Archdruids. But still not a great place to be. Opponent trying to figure out what they want to take. There is an argument to say that, or argument to take one of the Dwynen, or the Dwynen's elite, because then we don't get multiple creatures that increases our elf count for either of our Elvish Archdruids, but you win some, you lose some, so. Alright. We got 2 elf lords in play, so our elves are actually pretty big. We can swing past the bat. Fortunately, obviously they say other elves, so not that big. Big relative to elf standards. Opponent has found a lot of the components to kind of dig into their Raise the Pass. I'll play a Dwynen's elite. This will kind of pay for itself with Elvish Archdruid, which is nice. But now Elvish Archdruid taps for 4. I would like to get a land drop would be very nice. All right, we find a land drop. And then, you know what, we'll play more one-drop elves. And that's kind of a big board. We will not swing in with our Elf Lord. Craterhoof, if we can find a tutor, a Genesis Wave, any of those things off the top, puts us in a really good spot. The opponent does not have to raise the past yet. Their life total will go up, but I think if we can find Craterhoof, it won't matter their life total, because we're going to be doing a bunch of damage. Hopefully we'll be able to showcase that. Okay, that is scary. Though, good that they did not wait until like next turn to cast it to get the offspring. So we have a turn. Opponent also would have to luckily top deck. Like, they just milled a card as their last card, so it's unlikely that the top card of their deck is... Okay, wait, I forgot about this crying. It's unlikely that it's a Raise the Past, but now it's very likely. Oh no. Okay, it doesn't matter. We've made it. We made it. We made it. All right. Nature's Rhythm. We found our tutor for the Hoof. Hoof, there it is. That should give +10/+10 to all of our creatures. It has haste. And we're gonna swing face. Wow. This feels like an amazing matchup for elves, because they're both pretty uninteractive decks that snowball out of control if left unimpeded. Well, that felt great. We had a lot of potential draws to get ourselves that Craterhoof, because if we drew into... We have like 3 or 4 Craterhoofs in the deck, I believe. Then we have 3 of those tutors, and then we have 3 Genesis Waves. So that's a lot of different cards that if we top deck them there, gives a ton of value and potentially just wins the game outright. So that is the upside of having like a tutor and a card to tutor that wins the game. That you can play essentially more copies of your win con and your best win con. I think we'll be doing some ramping. Opponent Fabled Passage and Island, so multicolor, cares about landfall, maybe. Okay, so Temur, it appears to be. I'll play Llanowar Loamspeaker. We were trying to ramp, right? And we also want to draw into a payoff. So that's a very good spot to be. This taps for mana for creatures or just in general? Okay, only creatures, so that is very good for us. It means that... Ooh. That is intriguing. Alright, we drew into a land drop. Good. We want to find Craterhoof, please. Opponent can drop some big permanent here, probably, so... yeah, that is so much card draw. Lumbering World Wagon, so they can tap down their Kona without even having to attack, though. Realistically, we're not going to be blocking, so they could attack if they wanted. But they don't know that. Well, opponent sees a bunch of elves and no way to remove them, so GG. Alright, well, this hand looks pretty good. It's not perfect because obviously we have a lot of lands and not many payoffs or ramp, but I like seeing Genesis Wave and some kind of ramp plan. Opponent on Esper Pixie, maybe. This should be a very interesting matchup. For our previous matches, we've gotten off pretty light with how our opponents have interacted with us, so time for a more punishing matchup and see how we can handle it. Hopeless Nightmare will discard the second Genesis Wave. really don't need two of them in our hand, I don't think. And then Dwynen's Leap. Can't really swing into the Nurturing Pixie, so that's not great, but Nature's Rhythm, we can cast it from a graveyard, so maybe we'll discard it. The opponent goes for it. Looks like they're playing the Esper one, and they haven't drawn their blue sources, considering they have 3 mana open and they didn't do anything, so that is a good sign for us. Play this on Elf, and then I will Nature's Rhythm for an Elf Lord that draws me cards, and hopefully we hopefully we can draw some cards, but I guess not. Opponent has a cut down. 2 mana open, so they might have the nowhere to run. No, okay. Leechbone Verge, so that's another Orzhov card, so maybe they are just straight up Orzhov. Can tap. I will pay to tap this. We'll grab another Elf Lord, I think. So we can hopefully I guess we could have paid 3 to try and get a Elvish Archdruid, but I kind of like the card draw here. We do have Genesis Wave, so realistically going for the option of just straight up, well, it doesn't matter. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. Opponent, I'm wondering if they're a catcher mode deck because they have Kutzel, but probably not. They don't have a ton of exile payoffs. This is probably just a hedge against the Azorius Omniscience deck. They can remove graveyards at instant speed. Hopeless Nightmare, we will discard the Forest, because we don't really need that much more mana. Nice thing is if we hit one of our tutors with Genesis Wave, it'll go to our graveyard and we can recast it later. So it's not completely lost cause. We are down to 10 though. Land drop. Well, we will Genesis Wave for a very sad amount, because I don't know what else to do. I don't think it's worth holding on to Genesis Wave just in case they top deck away to bounce things. And we get our tutor to the graveyard, so that's actually not terrible. We have access to 8 mana next turn, so we cannot Nature's Rhythm for Craterhoof. Opponent has 7 damage on board. Actually, they have 10 damage on board if they activate their Soulstone Sanctuary and swing attack with it. See if we can rank up against Azorius, or not Azorius, Orzhov Pixie with the Elves. Opponent does not want to trade their flanker. Cavern of Souls, yikes, that's not particularly helpful. What do we grab with our Nature's Rhythm? We have access to eight mana, tap this for 2. Yeah, we can only tutor up something 6 or smaller. So what is our best option? One of the big Elf Lords, perhaps? Decline, we will not tap down anything. We're just gonna go for Elvish Archdruid. Should pump up our elves nicely. And I'm just gonna hold back for a turn. We got a top deck well. I don't think we could have afforded to attack in just in case the opponent... Yikes, that's not great. Oh, whoa. Hoof off the top? Does that mean we win is the question? Because that would be... Well, that looks like a lot of damage. Oh my goodness. Hoof. Hoof, there it is, as they say. GG. Well, the top decks with this deck are pretty good. This seems like the best hand you could ask for. We have Cavern of Souls, 3 Tree City, Llanowar Elves, Elvish Archdruid, Nature's Rhythm, and a Dwynen's Elite to pump up our elf count for the Elvish Archdruid. So, opponent, you got a response? Elvish Archdruid coming down turn 2. Under City Sewers. What are they going to surveil? Nothing. They surveil nothing. Alright. Removal check. If this does not get removed, it's going to be a good turn for us. Real good turn. And it's gone. No. Sayonara Archdruid. We still have 3 Tree Cities, so we can still make them up. What? They're playing mill. I don't know if it's self-mill or... Nope. Okay, it's still gone. Well... I guess we just have Craterhoof. Not bad. We're gonna go up to 5 elves, so 3 Tree City is gonna tap for a bunch of mana next turn. But not enough mana yet. So we can Nature's Rhythm to grab another Elf Lord. And that taps for a bunch. Or we just Nature's Rhythm for a regular old Elf Lord to swing in. For the card draw Elf Lord. Probably not worth doing that. Probably just go for the mana one. This is turn 3. Haughty Jin. Okay, so they're Dimir. They're a Dimir version of the Oculus deck. I see. I could also Nature's Rhythm for a Dwynen's Elite. That leave me with enough mana. So we'll have a total of 7 elves. Yeah, that leaves me with enough mana to Craterhoof next turn. So I'm tempted to go for the Dwynen's Elite and just neutralize the risk of the opponent being able to remove the Elf Lord and ruin our Craterhoof. No attacks. If they have a counterspell next turn, though we are in a... we would have had Name Beast on our Cavern of Souls, so... We can threaten the Nature's Rhythm instead. But... I don't know if we have enough mana to try and Nature's Rhythm and Craterhoof. One removal spell, we can fight through that. But if they also have a counterspell... 1 mana because of Haughty Jin, I forgot about that. That's real bad for us. Ooh, that is real bad. Moment of Truth. Oh, the amount I wish I had another Cavern of Souls on Beast. Because then we wouldn't have to worry. We would not have to worry about us getting countered. Tap out, opponent. We're doing nothing. Nothing. What? Yo, okay, well... seems pretty good to me. Ask and you shall receive. Buy? Even if they had a counterspell, they could not stop it. That is brutal. That is so much damage. Wow. Craterhoof. Fun. Alright. Hopefully we top deck a 1-drop. For turn 2, because that means we can go turn 1, Citanul Stalwart, turn 2, Dwynen's Elite, or Leaf Crown Visionary into that additional 1-drop. Since we can then tap that 1-drop. Yo, we did it. Let's go. I will play Leaf Crown Visionary first. It might soak some removal, so that's a good reason to play it out here. We don't really mind losing it. We want to preserve the Elvish Archdruid. Opponent seems to be on Mardu. Opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Don't worry, opponent. I'm playing elves. I am playing elves. So I have no intention to. Alright, we get to draw a card. Pretty good place to be, though. I guess I stopped myself from playing Dwynen's Elite. Swing. Take 3. Mobilize 2. This Mobilize mechanic seems very strong, so I'm excited to see how it plays out. But they have 3 mana open. And they probably don't like the fact that an Elvish Archdruid exists. Sheltered by Ghost. Oof. That is actually one thing I didn't consider with these Mardu decks, is that you get sheltered by Ghost. That's pretty strong. I'm gonna hold on to Cavern of Souls. I don't think the opponent's... Actually, doesn't really matter either way. I was gonna say, I'm gonna hold on to it just in case. But, there's nothing to be worried about. I'm not gonna play out Dwynen's Elite yet, I think. I prefer to draw a card. With this, to try and dig deeper, we're trying to get to that Craterhoof or a tutor for Craterhoof. We have a lot of mana potentially next turn, so that could allow us to draw through a bunch of cards. It's all up to the opponent, though. Our lords are making our cultivator really big. Opponent, again, sees the elf lord that makes a bunch of mana. He says no. Guess I could block, but not much of a reason to. Well, I should have, actually, because, not much of a reason not to. There's another way of putting it. Okay, there's Craterhoof, so just need to draw into relevant card. Let's play Dwynen's Elite. Should maximize. I guess I can tap one of my maps. It should help to maximize how deep in our deck we can go, but try and find more lands, but unfortunately, no such luck. I'm gonna keep the Rustvine Cultivator back so that we can tap it to add an oil counter and see if we can make it next turn with our board intact. That is absolutely fine, because all we care about is mana. We are very mana hungry, because we need 8. Opponent does not go for the attack. Oh, opponent, it is far too late. I believe we have what they call in the business lethal. Might be a little wrong. Oh, actually, let's tap the maps. We're not using them. Let's be a little wise about how we do this, alright? I'll untap this bad boy, and that's Craterhoof. And that's GG. That would have been 6 times 9 plus some odd numbers. A lot of damage. Alright, that is going to do it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I think we had some pretty good performance here. I don't know the stats because my deck tracker is not tracking for some reason, but I'll get to that. But I think I will revisit this at some point and try and get a little bit more data on the deck, see if we can make any improvements, if there is any tweaking that needs to be done. But for a first version, this felt incredible for being, you know, mono green and everything. We got a lot of very uninteractive opponents, so that is an advantage, but we still made it through that Orzhov Pixie deck. So that's a good sign that there is some life to this, even when facing more heavy interaction. Let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know what you are doing with Craterhoof, because I will probably try some other decks with this card, because I think it has a lot of potential outside of just play it with elves. You can reanimate it, you can cheat it into play, all sorts of things, and I think you'll get value at it. So anyways, have a nice morning, evening, night, afternoon, wherever and whenever you're watching. Take care of yourself. Ciao.